Another zombie masterpiece strikes. This film is also known as the Indian version of Train to Busan. At the beginning of the film, a large group of natives is blocked in front of a tunnel, facing a group of special forces. A shaman warns the soldiers confronting them that there are many evil spirits in the tunnel and it must not be opened. However, the soldiers clearly don't believe the shaman. They are ordered to disperse the villagers, preventing demolition. The government plans to demolish this village to build a road. The villagers are driven to this tunnel. The tunnel has its own history. It was built by the British during their invasion of India and was sealed off for some reason. At the entrance of the tunnel stands a stone tablet, recording that many British soldiers were buried inside during the outbreak of the invasion war. Faced with the villagers' resistance, developer Ajay can't stand it anymore. He threatens the officer to shoot all the villagers immediately or he will withdraw his investment. Reluctantly, Tyagi orders the soldiers to turn off their recorders and then to clear all obstacles. Adjutant Vikram is still hesitating whether to obey the order. Suddenly, an explosion sounds, and the soldiers mistakenly think the villagers have initiated an attack. So they start shooting. The villagers and the shaman at the tunnel entrance are all shot. With all obstacles now cleared, Ajay immediately orders the workers to start work overnight. Accompanied by the roar of the excavator, a large hole is dug at the entrance of the tunnel. A small team of workers enters the tunnel first for inspection, but after a long wait, no message comes from the team. At this moment, footsteps sound everywhere. A worker, covered in blood, walks out of the tunnel and then collapses unconscious. Vikram and others, who haven't evacuated yet, realize something is wrong and rush to the tunnel entrance. Tyagi orders Vikram and others to stand by outside, while she leads an armed team into the tunnel. Soon, Vikram and the others outside receive video footage from Tyagi's team's recorder. Inside the tunnel, they find no one but some equipment left by the British. As Tyagi's team goes deeper, they soon make another discovery. At a corner, a figure in a dapper outfit, facing away from them, appears strangely. Just as Tyagi's team moves forward to check, the signal from inside the tunnel to Vikram and others outside is suddenly interrupted. With intermittent gunshots and screams, confused, they see two injured soldiers escape from the tunnel, but Tyagi is nowhere to be seen. Vikram decides to enter the tunnel to assist Tyagi's team. Using the light to search the tunnel, they finally find Tyagi lying on the ground in a clearing. Tyagi, with a vacant look and muttering to herself, stares at something above their heads. Vikram, following the light, looks up. The monster, startled by the light, forces Vikram and the others to immediately help Tyagi and run outside. However, they can't run fast due to Tyagi's injury. Rookie Nadir is accidentally bitten on the leg by the monster, but fortunately, Vikram comes to the rescue immediately. Vikram, dragging them, hurriedly runs out of the tunnel. The teammates outside come to their aid upon seeing them. The monster has already reached the tunnel entrance, but instead of continuing the chase, it starts using a fire gun at the entrance. Vikram and his teammates, intending to retreat to their base, suddenly find their vehicles burnt by an unknown perpetrator, with zombies still shooting at them. Ajay informs them of a nearby old house where they can take shelter, so they immediately head there. Unbeknownst to them, several crimson eyes in the dark are intently watching them. They arrived at the door of the old house but found it locked. Villagers' voices come from inside, offering to let some in, but not the injured. Vikram, of course, refuses. Behind them, the zombies are closing in. They raise their fire guns and start shooting again. As casualties mount, a female soldier forcefully shoots the door open. They all rush inside. Vikram immediately orders them to lock the door and windows. Preparing for the monster's attack, the villagers quietly drag the dead bodies away while they are not looking. Strangely, the monsters stop pursuing them and vanish after seeing them enter the house. Though puzzled, Vikram is relieved that the monsters are no longer chasing them. At this point, Ajay realizes his wife's body is missing. Vikram suspects something. They hadn't seen any villagers after entering, so he cautiously searches the house. Soon, he finds a door locked from the inside. When he knocks, villagers' voices respond from inside, urging Vikram to kill the injured. Nadir, bitten on the leg, has regained consciousness, but Tyagi is still in a stupor, mumbling something. Their radio seems to be jammed. Unable to contact the outside, Vikram decides to let everyone rest here until dawn when rescue from the troops is expected. On the other side, Yadav, who was disposing of the bodies, was about to leave when he suddenly heard a strange sound. Turning to look, he only sees two bodies and nothing unusual. Thinking he heard wrong, Yadav is about to leave again. Then he realizes he's forgotten his walkie-talkie on a chair. As he picks it up and looks back at the bodies, people in the hall. In a meeting, suddenly hear a scream nearby and rush to check. Arriving at the morgue, they find Yadav dead on the ground, his body covered in beast-like bite marks. The bodies of the 2 dead soldiers are also missing. Thinking the villagers inside are responsible, Vikram prepares to burn through the steel door to confront them. While burning the door, they also warn the villagers to return the stolen bodies of the soldiers. Puniya, puzzled by Vikram's accusation, decides to prove their innocence by opening the iron door herself. First, she shows Vikram the bodies they had taken earlier. The bodies, now wrapped in white cloth and nailed to beds, startle Vikram, who immediately points his gun at Puniya. Puniya explains that this is to prevent the bodies from reviving. Anyone bitten or scratched by the monsters will eventually turn into one of them. The reason this place is safe is that they lit sacred effigies at the door and encircled the house with special lime, deterring the zombies. They didn't let Vikram bring the injured inside initially for fear they would mutate. Now, the priority is to find and kill any zombies in the house and then burn them. Vikram was half believing Puniya's words, but just as he was about to burn Yadav's body, Yadav suddenly opened his eyes. Fortunately, Vikram is prepared and swiftly kills the zombie Yadav before setting it ablaze. Vikram shares what he knows with his teammates. However, since they haven't been inside the tunnel, they don't believe him, thinking Vikram has lost his mind and can no longer lead the team. Vikram anticipates this reaction and knows he must eliminate any threats within the team. He finds Nadir, who had entered the tunnel with him, and sees his bite wound has worsened. Vikram realizes Nadir is beyond saving. Just as Vikram is about to end Nadir's suffering, Nadir's cousin Assad intervenes, believing Vikram has gone mad. Assad knocks Vikram unconscious and ties him up in a bathtub. Unbeknownst to him, Nadir's infection is getting worse and worse and he will turn into a zombie in no time. Meanwhile, AJ's daughter Sanvi, sleeping in the house, hears noises outside. She initially thinks it's her father, but upon closer inspection, discovers it's a zombie. It's the previously missing soldiers' bodies, now mutated. Terrified by the zombies, Sanvi screams for help. Vikram, waking from unconsciousness, hears the cries and rushes over. He finds Sanvi surrounded by 2 zombies, quickly pulling her to safety. Thankfully, Puniya arrives in time to help Vikram block the zombies in the bedroom with a cabinet. Vikram then brought Puniya and Sanvi to the hall, where he advised the crowd not to break out and first clear the house of zombies. This time, with Sanvi and Puniya as witnesses, the others finally believe Vikram's words. At this moment, Nadir, who was bitten by the zombies, suddenly appears. He tells everyone that Vikram is lying and they must leave the house immediately to regroup with others. The squad is now divided into 2 factions. While they are at an impasse, Puniya suddenly pulls out lime that restrains zombies and throws it at Nadir. Nadir, with a ferocious look, lunges at a teammate. Seeing this, everyone finally believes Vikram's words. Being well-trained soldiers, they quickly subdue the zombie Nadir, but before they can relax, something more terrifying happens. A heavy rain starts outside, washing away the lime Puniya had laid around the house, leaving the zombies outside unimpeded. The zombie horde is now steadily approaching the cottage. The crowd in the house also tied up the mutated Nadir, not realizing that he could still talk after turning into zombies. The origin of the zombies is finally revealed. It turns out that a British invasion team led by Colonel Lyndock had been killing and pillaging in India many years ago. In the middle of an operation, they got stuck in a tunnel, unwilling to die. The evil Colonel Lyndock sacrificed his son to summon a demon, granting him eternal life and turning his men into walking corpses. Vikram and others burn all the soldiers in the house who have turned into zombies. As they contemplate their escape, Ajay inadvertently finds a book in the house. The book recorded a message stating that Colonel Lyndock, who harnessed the power of a demon, and his zombie army were cursed to be forever trapped in the depths of the mountains. Only a sacrifice of a young girl's blood at the demon's altar can lift the curse and grant them freedom. This explains why the 2 zombies in the room didn't attack Sanvi but tried to capture her. Just then, the delirious Tyagi suddenly regains her senses, and she orders the girl to be handed over to the zombie army for safe passage. Vikram and Ahu refuse, suspecting something is wrong with Tyagi. Before they can question further, drum beats sound outside, and the zombie army emerges from the forest, slowly approaching the old house. Fortunately, they stop at the doorstep, but this puts immense pressure on Vikram and the others. For Sanvi's safety, Ahu and Vikram lock her in a room where the village head was earlier, with a sturdy steel door that can withstand zombies for a while. Vikram also found out that Tyagi and Ajay had been colluding with each other all along. Under the pretense of insurgents in the area, they misled the troops to come, using them to massacre innocent villagers for the sake of demolition. At this point, Tyagi drops her facade, revealing that she has been under Colonel Lindaka's control all along. She orders the zombie army to start attacking the old house. The sudden turn of events creates chaos, and Tiagi takes the opportunity to escape. She reaches the door of the room where Sanvi is hiding. Tiagi came to the door of the room where Sanvi was. She just had to bring Sanvi to the altar and then the army of zombies would be free from the curse. But Ahu told Sanvi that only she and Vikram can open the door. Despite Tiagi's furious shouting, Sanvi refuses to open it. Then Ajay steps in, intending to strike a deal with Colonel Lindock. In exchange for immense power, Ajay is willing to offer his daughter to lift the curse. But Sanvi, already distrustful of her father due to her mother's death, refuses to open the door regardless of Ajay's pleas. Enraged, Ajay went straight to the back door of the house and tried to let the zombies in. As Ajay tries to pry open the lock with a knife, Ahu stops him at gunpoint. Undeterred, Ajay tries to bribe Ahu with Indian currency, but Ahu, as a soldier, refuses the bribe and throws the money away. Seeing that the bribe won't work, Ajay takes advantage of Ahu's distraction, pulls out a knife stuck in the door and slits Ahu's throat. He then opens the back door, allowing zombies to flood in. The zombies pounce on the severely wounded Ahu. Vikram, watching this on the monitor, is devastated. However, Vikram knows it's not the time for grief. With zombies invading the house, he must evacuate his team immediately. Vikram went to the door of Sanvi's room and shouted. As zombies near the door, Sanvi hesitates whether to open it. Suddenly, she hears her mother's voice, only to discover her mother has turned into a zombie. Terrified, Sanvi quickly opens the steel door to let Vikram and others in, then swiftly closes it, trapping the zombies outside. After entering, they deal with Sanvi's zombified mother. The room has no back door, and the only exit is blocked by zombies. Elsewhere, Punia and Assad are trapped in the morgue. With zombies clawing at the iron door, Punia realizes they can't just sit and wait for death. They must contact Vikram and the others. So, Punia fires several shots at the zombies outside the iron door and successfully picks up a radio from the ground. Although they manage to contact Vikram, he is in a similar predicament, also trapped. But Banu made a new discovery in this room. This room used to be an abandoned armory and still contains a considerable amount of guns and ammunition. Most importantly, there's a cannon. Although lacking cannonballs, Banu confidently improvises a special ammunition in a short time. He dismantles the gunpowder from bullets, fills the cannon barrel with iron nails, and compresses the gunpowder with a stick. Once the cannon is positioned facing the steel door, they open the door, letting all the zombies inside. The zombies all walked in. With a thunderous boom from the cannon, the zombies are reduced to a heap of flesh. Vikram and his team quickly leave the room, leaving the controlled Tiagi behind. They soon reach the morgue where Assad and Punia are trapped, eliminating all zombies at the door and finally regrouping, knowing that unless Colonel Lindock is defeated, the zombies will keep coming. They plan to blow up the tunnel. They avoided the zombies in the jungle by night. First, they went to Punia's house and dug out the explosives that the villagers had used against the army. Unexpectedly, these explosives have now become an important weapon against the zombies. Then a voice came over the radio and 2 soldiers were sent from the military region to meet them after receiving their distress call. Before Vikram can inform them about the zombies, the radio signal cuts off. Vikram decides to split up Assad and Punia to inform the soldiers. While he and Banu prepare the bomb, Assad and Punia quickly meet the soldiers, but the zombies attack unexpectedly, killing the unprepared soldiers. A large horde of zombies continues to rush towards them, forcing them to hurriedly take shelter in a police car, with zombies surrounding the vehicle. On the other hand, Banu was about to relieve himself when he was stabbed to death by Tiagi, who was under the control of Colonel Lindock. Vikram, who was unsuspecting, was also compelled by Colonel Lindock's mind. Trapped by zombies, Assad and Punia are surprised to see the zombies mysteriously retreat. They find the keys on the soldiers' bodies and rush to Punia's house, only to find Tiagi and discover Vikram and Sanvi are missing. Realizing the gravity of the situation, they rush to the tunnel, controlled by Colonel Lindock. Vikram is leading Sanvi towards the tunnel, where Ajay, delirious and strapped with a bomb, is caged. Ajay had hoped to bargain with Lindock but met this fate instead. Vikram pushes Sanvi towards the altar, knife to her throat, but hesitates to act, his last shred of consciousness holding him back. Then, Colonel Lindock's true form appears. Colonel Lindock grabs Vikram's hand, attempting to strengthen his control, but Vikram reacts swiftly, stabbing Lindock in the head with a reverse strike, and then Vikram fires several more shots at Colonel Lindock. At that moment, Punia and Assad were also driving their cars deeper into the tunnel. Vikram told Sanvi to leave the altar, but behind him, Colonel Lindock suddenly got up and bit Vikram on the neck. As more zombies overwhelm Vikram, he urges Sanvi to detonate the bomb on Ajay, but she hesitates. Assad and Kaniya suddenly hear an explosion in front of them and Sanvi comes out of the smoke. It seems Sanvi finally detonated the bomb. The three survivors drive away from the tunnel as dawn breaks. Thinking the ordeal is over, a news report about a terrorist attack in the city catches their attention. A loud noise erupts behind the reporter, and people turn to see numerous old warships approaching, flying tattered British flags.